And one of the couple that I really like and I've watched for a long time is Lonnie and Candace. They're out of Louisiana, I think. Shed flips, okay? And I enjoy them. And they had a video with the title that, hey, the worst eBay day sales in a long time. And I thought, you know what? Let's go watch the video. Let's see what's going on over there with Lonnie and Candace. And they just had a day where, they only think they had 2 sales. And it's like, what's going on? Hey everybody, welcome. Mike, the Golden State Picker. I'm outside. Kind of a nice night out here, and I thought, you know what, let's take it outside for the first part of this video. Then we'll go inside and show you the sales that we have and the video and talk about it in general. And I got this idea because I watch other YouTube resellers. It's kind of my way of networking. I like to know what's going on in the reselling world. And one of the couple that I really like and I've watched for a long time is Lonnie and Candace. They're out of Louisiana, I think. Shed flips, okay? And I enjoy them. And they had a video with the title that, hey, the worst eBay day sales in a long time. And I thought, you know what? Let's go watch the video. Let's see what's going on over there with Lonnie and Candace. And they just had a day where, they only think they had 2 sales. And it's like, well, what's going on, right? And I'm starting to hear other people talk about how their sales are down and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Mike, I can tell you that it feels like it's down where I'm at. I'm thinking maybe I should look at my numbers. And if you've watched my channel, you know that I'm not a big numbers person every day. I kind of know what's going on because of what I'm selling and shipping and so forth, but doesn't mean that I sit there and crunch numbers every single day. So I went in and looked, and we're going to talk about that and talk about my sales. And I want to talk about maybe some reasons why, some things to think about, because it's not as bad as you sometimes make it feel. Sometimes I think people get too emotional, and we need to kind of step back sometimes and realize, hey, it's not as bad as we make it out to be or feel like it is when we're in this situation where it seems like it's slow. So, we got to keep all that into perspective. And I think that's a big part of reselling or any business. If you've been around a while, you know that I had a furniture store for over 30 years. And in that business, you can guarantee that there was some ups and some big downs, some swings. So we have to keep that in mind. And that has prepared me for reselling. So I have a pretty strong background of fluctuations in the economy and so forth and so on. So let's talk about it. So I went ahead and looked at mine. And wow, I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you. So I did it July 1st through the 31st, basically. Today is the 31st. So, wow, I mean, time is flying. So I'm going to put them up here so you can kind of get a general idea. I am down 22% year over year for the same period. So July 1st through July 31st last year, I'm down 22%. I have 13,734 in sales and about 9,000 all the way in the right of net in my pocket. I still have to take out cost of goods and things like that, but they took out 4,000 in shipping and fees. So I'm down. And I was like, I was actually a little surprised. I thought, okay, I knew I was down. I had a feeling I was, but I didn't think I was that far down. So I had to think a little bit, because now I want to give you some perspective. June 1st, I came back from North Carolina. So that's why I picked June 1st. So there's about a 60-day window of me coming back from my 3 weeks in North Carolina and then having to pick it all back up again. Okay, now I will tell you that my Amazon sales are flat also. They're not completely below what last year's was, but they are flat, okay? But overall, my Amazon sales are up 6% year over year all the way through July 30th. So I am up overall on Amazon. Now, we got to kind of spread this out. Now what you got to do is, I said to myself, that was 30 days. Let's go back now to June 1st through July 30th and take a look. So I'm going to put those numbers up. okay? Now you can see 31,000, okay? And I'm up from the same period 33% over last year. So what a difference, right? That shows you I'm still pretty slow as far as July went, but from June to the end of July, I'm up 33% and 31,000 in sales. So we have to go back and kind of put things in perspective. So that's what you do. Take one step, go back two, then go back a few more, and start to build this positive, hopefully, influence in your mind, because you went through like a negative period and you're going, okay, this is, not, something's weird here. Why is that? You still gotta kind of evaluate and ask yourself, well, number one, I was gone for 3 weeks in May, pretty much. And I had to come back and kick it all back up, Amazon, eBay, all of that kind of stuff. So it probably is a combination of things, probably some of me and some other outside influences. And sometimes those outside influences, there's nothing we can do, okay? So when you look at what Lonnie's, one day doesn't make a huge thing. You're gonna see my sales today and they're down, okay? We got to show you the good with the bad. We got to help you understand what is going on with me. That's the community we're in. We're in a community of resellers, and it helps for me to network with you via YouTube so you can kind of get a feel. So that's what I'm trying to do. Now, what could be some of the reasons, right? I mean, well, I have to ask myself those questions. 22% down over a period is why, okay? So you ask yourself, well, have I been working as much? What have I been doing that's maybe a little different? I played a little bit more golf. I have been going to lunch with my wife a little bit more, okay, all that. But it does feel, something just doesn't feel 100% right in the air. Going to Savers, not seeing a lot of pickers in there, but also not seeing a lot of stuff come through. Garage sales a little off. Started to think maybe the heat. We had a huge heat wave here, about 2 weeks worth, where it was up at 100 degrees. And I know across the country it was getting hot also. So that might be a factor where, hey, the garage sales were really affected by that heat. So, I'm thinking maybe that. How about this one? You've heard this over and over. I've been through many of them. Elections. We got an election coming up. Country's really all over the place. Hey, they say people get a little nervous one way or the other. And so that can play a factor. So the mindset, this is where we have to continually understand ourselves. I try to stay as much away as possible from stuff like that, not let it affect me, because that can play into your mind, but it does affect many people. So keep that in mind. Now, here's another one. Now, I played golf yesterday in a tournament. It was really interesting. We got to talking to a gentleman. He was in my group, and he was a wine distributor. And he has a business where they distribute wine across the country. And they had just come out, the media just came out with a thing about spirits, hard alcohol, that kind of stuff, how sales were down 5, 6, 7%. Constellation Brands was down on the hard liquor side. And so in a general conversation with him, I said, hey, how is wine sales? And he said, wine sales have tanked. And I thought, then we mentioned the article. And he said, well, some of our beer and some of our mixed drink stuff has done fine, but the wine has tanked 20%. So you combine that with the spirits and a bunch of other stuff, you start to get a pattern here. And we started to talk about what was his thinking about this, and he was talking about COVID. He said, hey, during COVID, we were Zooming, we were tearing it up. Couldn't do enough, basically. So now he thinks all the COVID money is starting to drain out of the system. And that COVID money is going away. And inflation and cost of delivery, all that kind of stuff was also playing a factor. So an interesting thing. So this is what I mean by networking. You've got to get out. I get out and I play golf tournaments, and I get to see these people, and they tell me how they're doing. And that's where you take that information and say, okay, so it's not maybe all me. But here's another story about COVID. So there's another picker friend of mine, and we were talking, and he's in the education field, and he was saying, hey, he goes, I was telling him about my story with the golf, and he goes, Mike, same thing in the education. The COVID money is drying up. He says, we were able to give free education to people. All they had to do was fill out the forms and go through a bunch of stuff. It wasn't that hard. And the state and the feds, they were funneling money to them. He said that money now is dried up, all dried up. So now people might have less money in their pocket because, hey, that free education money that was out there is not. We're not talking about higher education, okay? We're not talking about Stanford or Cal or anything like that. We're just talking about education in general. So there's another issue, right? We've got back to school. Here we are. It's July 1st of August. People are doing their last minute vacations. Back to school. They've got to spend money, and the cost of stuff is definitely much, much higher. So there's probably less money to spend. We talk about the heat again. Maybe people weren't out shopping in the stores as much, or they weren't into the shopping mode. So a lot of that can play a factor. Now, then there's just basically the natural cycles of business. And I've always heard people say, hey, the eBay sales tank during the summer. And I don't believe that so much. I believe if you've got good stuff, you're going to sell it no matter when. Yeah, sometimes it can happen. There are cycles like that. The furniture industry, we had a few spikes, but I was very happy with the furniture industry because we were pretty flat or pretty normal most of the year. We didn't have these huge ups and huge downs like some of the box retailers would go way up November, December, and then crater after January. So I didn't have those hot peaks that I had to deal with. And the same thing's been with eBay and Amazon. It has been fairly level. I haven't had any major swings. This is probably the first one where I've had a major dip of 22%. And that's probably because, like I said, of many factors. And I got to look at myself. So I got to keep that, right? So it's a time to also, this is a time to evaluate yourself. This is where you got to dig deep, and you got to say, hey, how much of this is me? Where can I improve? What can I do to make something different? I need to go look at my inventory. You saw me, I cleaned my garage. There's several things you can do to maybe help yourself. List your death pile. We talk about these things you don't realize until you're in the throes of something and you're going, hey, what's going on? Well, I look around for it. Do I have anything I can list maybe? I still got some stuff in there to list. I did find some Bose 201 speakers today at Savers. I found 4 of them, and they were like $9 each. So that's a nice little find. So, you've got to just keep listing, keep doing what you're doing, then reevaluate and assess what might be happening in your store and in your business. Now, another thing is maybe you're burning out. I burn out about every 2 months. I'm happy about every 2 months I go to North Carolina. And that is perfect for me because I can only probably take 2 months, especially here. It's just the valley here has just gotten kind of crazy for me. So I am not, by the 2 month period, because I've been doing this now every 2 months or so, going to North Carolina, and then I unwind for 2-3 weeks, however long I'm there. And then I come back and maybe I'm a little more refreshed, okay? So you got to maybe take some time away, maybe go somewhere for 2 or 3 days and get away from it all, and just put your store on sale, put your store on a little bit of time away for like a day or two, and just go do something different. Change things up, okay? Keep that in mind. The other thing now is evaluate and maybe put your store on sale. Now, I don't do promoted listings. I like to put things on sale. So every time I go to North Carolina, I put my store on sale. I go in and I really get my eyeballs on every item. It's weird how I am. I have 2,000 items and I can scroll through, I think it's 200 a page. And you'll be amazed at how fast I can go through, and I can go, okay, this is 30%, 30%, 40%, 20%. I can create these, and that's a way to get your eyes on product so that you say, hey, this needs to go, that kind of thing. And then hopefully while you're on vacation, when you come back, you've got 60, 70, 80, whatever to package up. So that's me as far as how I operate when I go to North Carolina. But you might want to put your store on sale for a week. Give it a shot. move some inventory. It's good to move inventory, bring some cash flow in, but you're also bringing a boost of energy into yourself, saying, hey, boom, things are better. Hey, things are, you'll be amazed at how many you make $100 sale, $200 sale. All of a sudden, things start to change, right? So keep that in mind. And my last one, before we go in and see what I sold, which wasn't much, is don't buy just to buy. That's my motto. That means when it's slow, it doesn't mean, oh, I just got to go out and buy more. Nope, you got to buy quality. You got to buy stuff that will sell and has a chance to sell. That's the key. Use this up here, not this, when you're out buying. Try to really think it through and say, is it going to work? Yes. No. Give you an example. Today, doing my bin of books, there was a gentleman, they come by. It's weird. Sometimes they see me, and he stops, and he knows who I am, and he goes, hey, you want to take a look at some books? And he pulls out some books. And I look at them, and they're about $45 max on eBay. And he says, oh, I got a couple cases of them. Don't buy just to buy. My radar's going up, right? And I politely said, no. I said, they're 45. I told him you should be able to sell them somewhere, but I'm not going to take an interest in that. He goes, what else you like? I said, hey, I like electronics. He goes, I got 2 turntables. Okay. He goes, they're pretty expensive. It doesn't matter. I still got to go look at them. Be polite and let's go look. And I knew he had bought a storage locker, so I knew he had to get his money out of it, and I knew that these things were going to be pretty high. And the $1,200 is what you could get for the pair. They're like DJ turntables, and he wanted $500, and I'm not going to give him $500. I just can't do that. And I told him, look, I said it's just out of my league, $500. And I explained to him. I tried to. I'd be lucky to get $1,100 or $1,200, take away 30% in fees and taxes and some other stuff. They say $300. We're down to $800, and you got my $500 initial investment. There's not enough there for me, not enough risk, especially with turntables and shipping and all that stuff. So I didn't buy just to buy. That is a classic example. And that was the first thing I told myself as I saw him. Don't buy just to buy. That's what you got to do. You got to keep those things in mind. Okay, so there's a little first part of the video to kind of give you some idea what's going on out there maybe. Let me know down below if your sales are off a little bit or if they're up over the year. Like I said, my eBay sales are up over the year. My Amazon sales are up over the year. Very happy about that. This year, it looks like I'm going to have 3 months where I'm going to be back in North Carolina for the total, 2 weeks here, 3 weeks there. So I will have basically worked 9 months and probably, hopefully, keep about the same amount of sales as I did last year. So, all right, didn't do a lot of sales, but I want to show them to you so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's go inside the garage, take a look at what we sold, and talk about that. So let's go. Okay, I'm back in the garage to show you the things I sold and what we would call, a bad day kind of thing, or, slow day. Well, however you want to look at it. Basically 7 items, and the total $219. Now, if you go back and watch my videos, how many times have I told you $219? I don't think there's ever been a day like that. So it does happen. Need to, like we talked about, clarify that kind of and think about it. But I also wanted to think about it like this. Okay, here's another way to think. So $219, and I'm like wondering, it's slow, it's whatever's going on, that kind of thing. But if you take this average out times 365, it's $80,000 in gross sales. 219. So look at it like that. There's another way to look at things. Always try to spin it so that your mind is more positive than negative. That's the key. You got to remain positive. You got to realize 5 years, going on 6, know how to do this, been in business all my life, know how to do this. It will work its way through. Okay, that's all you got to do. So keep that in mind. All right, here we go. Let's start off in the golf category. Instead of going around it, let's go right at it. Let's go to the golf. TaylorMade SLDR. This one I got at Savers. This was $5.99 or $5.49. And this is the one that we talked about. You have to have the key, and if you don't have the key, you can't slide the weights. But most people understand that there is no key unless it is in the description. You can change the loft of the head and so forth. Lower, what's that say? Standard. I'm trying to give you an idea here. And then there's higher, I think, right there. 10.5 degrees, we got to know that. We got to know the shaft is, this is 57 grams, and this is a regular, so we got to know that. And this one sold for $70 plus $17 on the shipping side. People always ask, Mike, how do you ship them? I don't even have to really show you. You just need that 6x6 box. Drop it in and make sure it's under 48 inches for the driver. That is a 45-inch driver, I believe. Even if it was 46, I'd still get it under the 48 height limit to keep the price down. So keep that in mind. Well, now I'm looking around. You can see I'm struggling. This is different for me. Right here, I got this one. I've sold this before, this system. This is a DX7, and there's several books, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there's just all what they call patches, some kind of coating for this particular keyboard, DX7, and 100 patches. This is book number 4. Sold right away. Book for number 4, there was a comp for $24.95, so that's where I put it, and it sold for $25 plus $7 shipping. Now I sell these because they always sell, basically. I don't sell them for a lot of money. Boy Scout Handbook, this is 1979, I think. I'm going to quickly look because this one sells really well. 1979, like a 9th edition. Sells for 12 bucks. That's what it sells for. Plus a little bit of shipping, I think. Yep, $6 on the shipping side. So can't complain. Hey, add it up. It came out to $219. Still money in the bank. That's all I worry about. A little 3-volume book set, Sarah. And at first I thought they were manga, and they're not, but it's a 3-volume set. And Sarah got, I think it was 20 plus free shipping. So this, that sometimes I'm free shipping, sometimes I'm not. It's about 95% of the time I'm not free shipping, only when it seems to fit it. And that's with time and knowledge that you'll say, okay, I can go free shipping here. It seems to fit better in that particular category. DVD, I got 3 of these. This is a brand new DVD set, and it's, I can't say the name, Saikano, and they're sealed new. And this one sold for $25 plus $7 on the shipping side. So remember we talked about this is anime, manga. That is an extremely hot category. You see me sell it all the time. Okay, we're cutting in because while we're doing the video, we sold 2 other items, and I want to show you now. Just a really day became a better day, and I'm going to show you these 2, and then we'll show you the final couple. Let's start with the cheaper one. Textbook, California Politics, a primer, okay? And this one sold for $25 plus $7 shipping. So we are now up to about $250 for the day. And we sold this one. Take a look at this one. This is interesting. The Book of the Words. And I think this is Scottish Rite, something to do with Scottish Rite Society. And really in nice shape. $100 plus $8 shipping, $125. So that puts me at $350 instead of $219. And $125 is 1 bin of books because my bins cost me $100. So there's $125. So good way to look at things, right? There you go. All right. Now you saw those 2, so let's go look at the final items, and we'll talk about those. Comics in general, all that. Here's another one. This is not another. This is Sweet Tooth. Now, from what I understand, this is a Netflix series, and this is 1 through 6, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you know about that Netflix series, put a comment down below. I don't watch much TV at all. It's mostly sports if I do watch something. And this is Sweet Tooth. And $42 plus $8 on the shipping side. And here is the last one. I had this forever to show you. I was a bad picker, or I don't know if I was a bad picker, but I was always looking, and I picked up stuff that sometimes would just stick around. And this is really kind of cool. It's an egg, okay? Like they decorate the Fabergé eggs. This obviously isn't a Fabergé. But then this little door comes down, and there's a little, I think it's a princess or somebody in there. Okay, very interesting. And I finally just took an offer, $25 plus $13 on the shipping side for this. This thing is sat by my fireplace. It sat up here, it sat up there. And if somebody finally said, I'll give you 25, and I said, you know what, it's sold. So there you go. That's it, okay? Not a whole lot, but still $219. I'm blessed for the $219, and if that's all I did every day for 365 days, I would have 80,000 in gross sales just from eBay, and I also do Amazon, and I would still be very happy. That is still a very good number for many eBay sellers. So keep that in mind. Don't get too discouraged here, okay? It's a cycle. It happens all the time, and so we got to keep that in mind. And it'll pass. You know it will. And we'll talk about it in the next video. And we got, $700, $800, $900 worth of sales. So very good video, I think, to show you, hey, it's not always roses, even for me. There are days that I have that aren't super, super great. All right. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell notification. And we'll be back in another video to talk, hopefully more than 219. We should. All right. See you next time.